Well, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and here we go with another episode of Exploring Worlds. Now this is something that you've seen me doing on the channel before a couple of times, I think. I'm here at Pebbles. I'm about to start climbing some rocks. It's been really rainy around here. Fall has came. Pretty much just went straight from summer into winter this fall, but we're on a relatively clear day today. And the rocks are a little slippery. They got some moisture on them. They got some water on them, but they're actually still relatively decent. But I'm going to run through a few things throughout the duration of this video, and basically we'll wait until until I'm actually climbing the rocks to start getting into it. But I thought this would be a perfect time to discuss something I wanted to incorporate into this and turn into a video at some point, and I think this is actually just the right time to do it, so I hope you stick around and enjoy this episode. Okay, so I am up the first level I normally come to, and like I said, the reason this is the perfect time to discuss this is because I believe that having something like rock climbing might not be your thing or whatever, but I believe having something like this that you do consistently and continue to get better at is a really good practice all around. This is good for you physically, mentally, everything. And I'm gonna spin philosophy into this a little bit, in the sense that I believe that in anything that you are trying to do and trying to discipline yourself within and try to get better, I believe that along your journey there are times when you push through and times when you do not. Times when you deliberately climb up to the next level, and times when you deliberately play it safe. And I think that not the only, but one of the fundamental aspects of philosophy is figuring out which direction to go when it comes to a situation, whether you play it safe or whether you move to the next level. And I think that this is actually one of the best activities to correlate it to. I'm just going to head up to the next level, and as I do that, I'm going to throw a few pointers out there that should give you an example of what I'm meaning, what I'm talking about more thoroughly. Okay, well, so that time I actually was able to climb sort of completely beside where the wet rocks were there and actually cling to the ones that were still dry. And as you can see, I'm up at that second ledge. It's dry at my feet, and then it becomes wet right there. I'm just going to give it a bit of a tester. Not bad, not terrible, but it might be better to still try to avoid it a little bit. Oh, and there we go. And we're getting up to just about the top here. And yeah, it actually seems pretty smooth sailing so far. Okay, well, so I'm on my way up to the second level, the next level I usually go to. And so the path, which is not a treacherous climb, but you got to go a little vertical, basically. It's got some water seepage down it. It's a little it's a little wet at the time. So here's a point where you decide: are you gonna go further, or are you gonna play it safe? Well, I think that that it's still manageable to climb, at least for where I'm at. So I'm gonna push through to that next level. I can show you if I get up here. See, so we got all dry rocks, and then as you come over here the camera will pick it up anyway. See that where there's the line there? That's pretty much right where you go up. Gets even wetter up there, which is another ledge I climb up onto. But it is, I think I can make it up that one. But see, the reason why you would have to think about it is because, as you can see, if I move out, I'm actually quite high up here. So, but I'll drop the camera for a minute and I'll pursue up this one. And then we'll talk some more at the top. Yeah, so it's actually going relatively well. It's pretty, it's not as bad as I thought actually, but I'm just on the final climb. See where my foot is right here, there's a bit of a wet spot that I've got to be careful about. Which makes it tricky because it's right where I would put my foot in order to easily just end up right up here. So I'm gonna have to figure out a different placement. Oh, there we go. Always use your legs more than your arms when you're climbing rocks, by the way, because no matter what the situation is, they're always stronger than your arms. Your arms are handy, but they're not as strong as your legs, so always use your legs more so than your arms when you're climbing. And here we are at the top. Stare out over the peak a little bit. So basically, it might not seem like something like that would correlate to like philosophy or something that you are practicing in your life, but it really does, in the sense that, sorry, I'm actually being distracted by a helicopter over there. Maybe I'll turn around and beam the camera towards that. If you can see it. Come on, where are you? There you go. Anyway, so like I said, one of the core things is, like I said, just knowing when to play it safe, when to press forward. And I'm a firm advocate that having some sort of activity like this, mainly one of the other points I want to get to is that having some sort of activity like this can really be helpful in sort of putting it into perspective, and just kind of guiding you and figuring out when you need to take one route or the other. And I don't recommend that anybody just goes out and starts climbing rocks. I mean, I'm well disciplined in the sense where I have my ability level and I like to move beyond it, but I also like to stick there too, in the sense where I don't just decide, oh, that looks kind of cool, but it seems like a little beyond my comfort level or skill level, at least for now, so I'm just going to run into it and start doing it. It's good to be patient. It's good to slowly just, improve your limits at the same time as staying within them, even though that's hard to do. There is a way to do it. Make a little bit of progress, but stay where you're comfortable at the same time, and be patient with your progress. Don't rush your progress. Be patient with it, and be disciplined in the sense of sticking with it. Don't abandon it. Don't drop it. And also do it at your own pace. Doesn't matter what don't compare yourself to other people. It doesn't matter what skill level somebody else is or what somebody else is willing to do. You got to keep it. You got to keep it at the level that you're comfortable with. And so this is the top of the main. I don't know if you would call it peak or just the main cliff, I guess, that I climb up. But there's also some other areas around the other side once I get back down that I'd like to show you guys as well, and maybe correlate some other points to it as well. And yeah, so I know this is a little bit of a shoddy video, okay, but it's it's incredibly hard as much as I'm used to talking to the camera. It's incredibly hard to speak to the camera when you're doing something like this. You're a little more, which this is good training for me too, I guess, right? And also another thing is that when I go down here, it's also hard to, like, I'm gonna film a little bit of going down, but it's hard to get the shots that I would like to, more documentary style, when you're on your own using a camera while climbing. You got to wait till the proper points and the proper places in order to do it. So, but I'm gonna head back down, and I'm gonna show you some other areas around here. Okay. So there's that spot right there that I was struggling with. I can't put my foot right there or else it'll slip. So I gotta go down. Like this. That's that other spot there that's also not terrible. But I'm gonna get down this, and then we'll resume again. Back down at the bottom, came across a sea lion. That's a California sea lion from California. Anyway, so I'm heading around, and this is relatively not too high and pretty easy walking down here. This is just the very bottom ledge, but so this isn't as big of a deal, but it's still pretty cool to check it out down here. There's this little trench right here, and you definitely wouldn't want to fall down there. You'd probably get wedged in there and not enjoy it, but it's also really easy just to move above it. Not too big of a deal. And then as you come up over here, there's some more rocks that can be climbed, and you can also move just around the edge here too. And over here, and then there's another trench in here that I just got to get up these guys, and then I'll show you that other trench. We have a bone of some kind, most likely a bird. We got a fly, as well as a bee or a wasp eating it. Well, something didn't make it. So I guess it's not so much, in the spur of the moment I called them trenches. They're not necessarily a trench, it's a crevice, or a crevasse, whatever you want to call them. But this one's kind of cool. It's quite steep, and you see the water coming up into it there. In this one, I actually, see, this is where I'll say it again, I mean, you can go down here and then down. It's a little easier, which maybe I'll do that, but see, like up here, it's quite steep, and I can actually get down this in the summertime when these rocks are completely blistering hot from the sun and completely dry. You can go down right where those plants are there, but if I zoom in, you might be able to see it. It's quite wet there now, and as you see the little driplets of water. And those rocks in general, and all where this moss is and stuff, is really, really slippery right now, and it's too steep right here. It just goes straight down. But the only way that you have a little bit of an angle to get down is over there, and it's too, it is too wet at the moment. But so that's where I will play it safe, and I won't try to go down there. It's too dangerous. but I can go down to that guy right there and then get down there. It's relatively easy to do that. So I'll play it safe and go with that one for now. Now here I am closer to the bottom, and I can easily just get right down here. And yeah, there we are at the bottom. And move up it a little bit. It's a pretty cool little area, actually. And see, so this is the bottom of the area I was talking about there, and it's yeah, quite slippery, but in the summertime you can get down there no problem, or at least if you're comfortable trying anyway. See, so in the summertime when I come here, I will continue onward over to these guys and head up there. But the tide is coming up right now. The water comes up to about where my feet are now, which pretty much you're gonna have to get wet if you go through there. But in the summertime, the water's warm, and it's not so warm right now, so I don't necessarily want to be over there and then have the tide come up here and then have to go through this water here, as it's not very warm right now, so that wouldn't be too the greatest idea. That's when you know, I could rush it and push through, you know, land is close. It's not like I'd, like I could get out of the water and get to where I could heat up again, but it's still just one of those times where it's not the wisest to play it dangerous exactly in that kind of a sense. It would be best to play it a little safe. So I'm gonna head back to the main area, and I have one more point that I'll throw off there. And yeah, I hope you're enjoying this video. I know it's a little shoddy. I know my charisma on screen isn't at its peak right now. You know, I thought I would even, that's another thing learning, I thought I would even do better on camera doing this, because I do this all the time, and I got it on camera, like, well, minimally I got it on camera a couple of times, but this is it's difficult to properly align the camera as well as speak into it when you're doing this activity. So that's something that I will keep in mind. But I hope it's worth it anyway. But I'm going to throw one more point off and we're back at the main area. Okay, so now I'm back down at the very bottom where I first started talking to you. Now it's like when I like to have my beer. Definitely not good to do it when you're up there. When you're back down, it's okay. So anyway, yeah, this is, I just pretty much wanted to throw that out there, that having an activity like this is good for you, and one of the main things I'd recommend incorporating into it is knowing when you're going to go for that next level, when you're going to play it safe. Balancing the two things is important, and you know, it very much so does correlate to philosophy. A lot of people think that that something like this in philosophy would be at two opposite ends of the spectrum, but they're actually not. A lot of the wise sayings, a lot of the teachers out there that teach about philosophy, you can use their wisdom and you can use their influence in partaking in something like this and doing it properly and doing it the best way for your personal progression, as well as the safest way, and to flush out some of those things like ego and all you know, bad things that can get us into trouble. In fact, I was actually just talking to a friend of mine not long ago that does he doesn't do rock climbing, but he's a weightlifter and he lifts really heavy weights. And what he said was that a lot of times, I was mentioning about the rock climbing and he was talking about the weightlifting and stuff like that, and he basically said that, you know, when someone self-proclaims themselves as an expert and stops taking precautions and stops stops being careful, basically, is when something happens, because they're so used to it. They believe they're at the highest level they can be, and anything else is gravy from there, and they start not paying as much attention. They start getting careless, they start getting reckless, and that's when an accident happens, and that's when they don't make it. Which I thought was a really good point. I mean, it's a pretty self-explanatory point, but again, when somebody else that does something that can be dangerous and that you got to be patient in your progression with, it's always it's valuable to hear it from somebody like that. It helps put it into perspective. So yeah, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please just don't just start climbing rocks and stuff like just because you've seen this. I mean, if you want to, I celebrate it, but please be careful. Please start small. I mean, I didn't start going up nearly to the levels I go now. At the beginning of my journey with this, I went actually very, very, very low, and you know, was very patient in my in getting better to, you know, get to higher levels. So I highly recommend doing that, and I'll, you know, play it by the books in the sense of when I put this video together, I'll put the warning on there and everything. But nonetheless, I do highly recommend it in another regard too, as it's a really nice activity to take part in. It's something really enjoyable. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please come back for more.